Wow. Yes, sir. You know who's back. We back, baby. Let's Talk with Stanley Doucette is back on the road. We rocking and rolling, baby. How y'all doing? How's everybody doing? How's your family? How's your people? How's your cousins? How's your uncle and your aunt? How's everybody doing? Listen, you know what we do. It's going to be a powerful, podcast tonight. Listen, when I say powerful, I really do mean powerful. Listen, I don't even know how we could even begin. First of all, the topic in and of itself is extraordinary. But let me just stop right there, just real quick. Y'all know we're going to do some commercials, right? But listen, before we do anything, make sure you text somebody, tell somebody, call somebody, and let them know Let's Talk with Stanley Doucette is live right now as we speak. We rocking and rolling, baby. We on onevoiceradio.com. We in over 170 plus countries. We doing some big things. Yes, we doing some huge things. But today, oh my, today, I went and got one of my all-time favorites, one of my peoples, one of my girls, one of my way back in the day folks. But hold on, before I introduce her, because y'all need to get her proper introduction. That's right, y'all need to get her proper introduction. She is one of those magical people that you wouldn't even know how powerful she is, but guess what? Today you're gonna find out. So let's do these commercials. Y'all know how we do it. First of all, I am on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, even on LinkedIn, YouTube channel is up. All of them are up. We rocking and rolling, baby. So it's all under Let's Talk with Stanley Doucette.com. Let's Talk with Stanley Doucette. We are there. Now, here's what I want you to take notes on. Unless you're driving. If you're driving, keep driving. Please keep driving. But everybody else, take this note. Hit me up on email. Hit me up on email because these questions and this conversation that we're about to have is going to be extraordinary. So go and hit me up directly on our email. Let's Talk with Stanley D at gmail.com. It's LETSTALKWITHSTANLEY D as in David at gmail.com. Yes, sir. So now make sure that you've got your notebooks out, your pen, your paper, your pads, your imaginable eraser. I don't care what you got, but you need to take some notes today. I'm telling you now, you need to take some notes. Yes. You need to take some notes. This is extraordinary. This one is extraordinary. Now, I wanted to do something in relationships. I wanted to do something spiritual. I wanted to do something in our soul. I wanted to do something that was deep down, deep rooted, something that was powerful, right? And a lot of times we run across people that ask us several questions. I've been fortunate enough to mentor, teach, coach an incredible amount of people. Excuse me, I love them all. But what I want to do today is I want to dig further into it with a true professional. Now, this young lady is absolutely exquisite. I'm not going to go into her resume for a reason. I want her to share it with you for a specific reason. Because if I share it, people are going to say, well, Stanley, you're supposed to say that she's your guest, all of that. No. This is truly the hour. So for you guys that are looking for a relationship, you guys are trying to understand how to better yourself in your careers, in your business, in your love life, and just you. Some of y'all need to just work on you. I'm going to get to that later. But listen, I have this young lady. I literally asked her. She agreed. She came on. She's a guru. She's a professional. She's at the top of her game. She's doing some magical things. And the name of our topic today, listen to this: how to become whole. Let me say that again. How to become whole. Now, I know I hit a lot of y'all in y'all stomach, but I'm going to go further than that. But before I get any further, let me introduce y'all to my sister, my friend, the one and only Dr. Tiffany Taft, DTT. Dr. Taft, what did it do today?
Oh my God. You know what? I don't even know how to respond to all of that. You got so much energy. Thank you so much for the invite and the hype. I hope I live up to the hype.
Listen, I know you. You can play with the audience and everything. I know you. I know what you bring to the table. So listen, Doc, listen. And audience, y'all forgive me because Tiffany and I go way, way back. So if I forget to say Dr. Taft, don't call me saying, Stanley, how you gonna disrespect her like that? No, it has nothing to do with that. What we're doing today is we want to empower you to another dimension. This is going to be strong. I'm telling you, it's going to be strong. You're probably going to hear a few ding, ding, dings today. So y'all know what that means. Get your paper out. Get ready. Get ready. So Dr. Taft, all of that being said, right?
Yeah.
And we're talking about how to become you. Before we get even to that topic, do me a huge favor and actually give your credentials and your resume for real. Because if I do it, they're going to say, Stanley, you're supposed to say that. But tell us who you really are, Dr. Taft.
Yeah. Great question. And I love when people ask me this question because we often define ourselves by titles and the things that we do. So I'll give you all of those things in just a second. But who am I at the core? I'm really an humble servant, a person in service, a woman in service, specifically to other women. I am a woman of God. I am a peaceful soul. I am a creative and free spirit. Now, what do? My top title is Dr. Tiffany Taft. I am a PhD. The PhD is in cybersecurity. So no, it has nothing to do with my health and wellness brain, but I'm working on that part too. Soon to be Doctor of Natural Medicine. But along with the other titles, I am a licensed massage therapist, a certified yoga instructor, a Reiki master, a birth and postpartum doula, full spectrum doula. So I cover birth, abortions, miscarriages, and then live births and those dealing with postpartum issues. And I'm sure I left, holistic health coach, certified master herbalist. I'm sure I left off some other things, but all things health and wellness is my jam.
So somebody's asking, how in the good hell did Tiffany go from being in the field of cybersecurity and now you're actually speaking life, deep life into people? Share that with them before we get into some of that good stuff.
Yeah, so my love of healthcare actually started at the age of 6. I was first exposed when I had an uncle who's an OBGYN out in California. And he was in med school and he came home with his stethoscope on break and put that stethoscope to my heart. And I fell in love with the beat of my own heart. And ever since that moment, it has been my journey to find out how I can be a part of healthcare, Western medicine at the time. And as life, went on, so to fast forward, when I was 18, I went in the military. I was in the medical corps and loved it. And then life, of course, happened. And I had to, figure out other ways to take care of myself more holistically. I said there had to be a better way than to pump us with pills or surgeries for every single thing, right? Yes. And so for me, it really is about lifestyle. And while there is a place and time for the surgery and pills, there's also the very foundation of it's a lifestyle choice that many of us are making that causes these imbalances in our mind, body, and spirit. So I like to say that I also describe myself as the perfect mix of East meets West.
Yes.
Ancient wisdom and modern science.
That's extraordinary. You said something though that's gonna go right into our topic.
What's
Yes,
that?
yes, yes. I did not miss it. You said you fell in love with your
Mm-hmm.
own heartbeat at the age of
Yeah.
6. Now, remember,
Mm-hmm.
our topic today is how to become whole. If you at the age of 6
Mm-hmm.
fell in love with your own heartbeat, come on, talk to me, Tim. At the age of 6, I'm just saying 6, but there are people out there right now that can't even fall in love with themselves, 20, 30,
Mm.
40, 50, 80, still don't know who they are. How do you deal
Yeah.
with those individuals?
Ah, good question.
Thank you.
It's a challenge. It's a challenge for a lot of us, right? And for me, when clients come into the practice, helping them to really get to the real questions, not dealing with the surface stuff. And it comes, we all live lives that, come with some level of harm or tragedy in some form, right? And we find various ways in which to mask that stuff. And
Yeah.
so part of my responsibility as a practitioner is to help those individuals really return to their selves, their original selves. So me at 6, I had no idea what medicine is or what the heartbeat was or how important that organ is to our body. And oh, by the way, in anatomy, if you didn't know, that is the first organ that develops in the fetus is the heart. And so when you think about all of the things that muscle, it is a muscle, does for us automatically, if we had to say heart, beat, beat, heart, beat, heart, some of us would be dead.
Right.
And so it is an automatic function that God, that nature, it just flows. And we don't have to think about it or do anything about it.
It definitely just flowed. But let's go a little bit further because obviously you fell in love and you continue to follow your passion. But let's talk. I'm going through all of the surface stuff. I want to get straight to it. So let's look at some of the norms or some of the, I don't even want to say norms, but some of the body shames, some of the antiquated thinking, some of the antiquated thinking for men about women, women about men, all of those things. So let's start talking about this. So I'm a male, right?
Mm-hmm.
Growing up, what do you say? I know everything body is different, but what do you say? Because the first thing most people said when I was growing up is, you need to have 2, 3, 4, 5 women. You need to sleep with as many people. I don't even want to say sleep with because that's cute. We going deep today.
Yeah.
You need to have
Yeah.
sex with 5, 6, 7 women and all of these different challenges and things like that. So let's start breaking some of these antiquated thoughts that are just wrong down so we can get to the part on how to become whole.
Yeah. So I think if you are a person of a certain age, and I will say if you were born in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and probably 70s, you were not the questions or the conversations around sex in your bodies, if you had them, were very surface. And the focus was don't get pregnant. Maybe don't come home with some type of sexually transmitted disease.
That's
what it really was.
That's what it was for those two. Don't
get anybody pregnant.
Yeah, don't come home with nothing you can't get rid of, and then don't bring no child here.
That's right. Yeah, but there was never any conversation about what our body is, what our body parts are, what they do, to save ourselves, if you will, to honor this body, and be in a place where you appreciate your body for the creation that it is. And don't just be giving up yourself. So many of us just give so much away, and we give parts away that we never get back. As children, and we take those into adult relationships that we never quite recover. And we also put those things off onto other individuals. So yeah, and like you said, boys, parents have different conversations with the boys than they do the girls. The boys were typically given a lot more freedom to come and go than the girls were. They were kept very close. And so what does that tell our little girls about, their freedom and ability to express themselves and be comfortable in their bodies if they're, always sheltered in such a way. And so when one little nice guy, that same little boy that's told you need 5 and 6 little girls, and that little girl, you are the guy that's paying her attention, she doesn't know what to do with that.
Man,
and oftentimes deep. It results in something unhealthy.
That's deep. But Tiff, what about, and we're talking about a little girl, but what about that 40-year-old man and woman walking down the aisle that literally, one, never been shown love, because in a certain age bracket, I showed you love because I bought something for you, right?
Yeah.
And if you ask for explanations or understanding, they would say something like, boy, sit your behind down. Go sit there. Stop talking. Leave me alone. How do you deal with that, Tiff? How do you get to
them? We're all messed up. Let's just say that. We were all messed up. And our parents, so I can look back. I'll share my age. I'm in that 70s group, so I'm 51. And I can look back and forgive, if you will, my parents or my grandparents or my aunts and uncles, anybody in that sacred circle that, did their best. They did their best with the information that they had, right? Yeah. And they may not have been taught that themselves. They were uncomfortable having those conversations. So yeah, when we get to our 40s and we haven't had the male hadn't had another man to show them healthy love or relationship, they don't know how that looks like, what that looks like at 40 or 50 years old. Right. Nor do they know how to share that with the woman in their life. And so we each have our own experiences, and we live life from those experiences.
That's very true. I guess now let me ask on the other side, right? I'm gonna talk about relationships, but this could be for jobs or whatever. But on the other side, now we're at the altar.
Yeah.
Now we at the altar, because this grown folk today, because it was good. I got something, it was good, or she got something, or he got something, it was the bomb. Now you with sex, not the individual. But now when it's time to have that conversation about something very powerful, whether it's your spirituality, your being, or whatever it may be, and you don't know how to do that, how do we collectively as a group, as an audience, get beyond that?
Yeah. So, excuse me. I think if you're not having those conversations before you walk down the aisle, you have just opened up a whole situation for you after you're married, right? Because you don't really know that person. What are the things that really end up breaking up a marriage? Lack of sex, or sex in a manner that is not acceptable to the other partner.
Yes.
Lack of finances. Somebody doesn't know how to manage money, or they don't have money, and you thought they had money, or you didn't realize how much of a spender they were. That causes issues in a marriage. And then let's just say, for those that go to church or have a higher spiritual connection to greater source, I was told, don't be unequally yoked. So what does that mean? Somebody that's not on the same page with you every single way, and I'm not saying they got to be your carbon copy, but there has to be that happy medium ground. And those foundation things are non-negotiables. And you both understand that.
All right, so let's talk about that spiritual side, and we can go there, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a question. It's gonna be good. This one is real good. How do I, as an individual, not Stanley, but how do I'm speaking for our family out there. So how do I go to church every week, Monday through Sunday, I'm at church, right? I'm doing my thing. How do I go to, quote unquote, the elder or the deacon or whoever that's over counseling, and they have an antiquated thought process about marriage?
Mm-hmm.
How do I even get the right answer at that point?
You find another clergy.
That's great. But what if I don't know? So I'm coming here, and you know, they say, humble as I know how.
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming to, I want to get all of this stuff, and I don't even know how to get outside of this circle because I'm buying into that particular space.
So
But then
you
I
hear
say,
this all the time, right?
huh?
You said one key thing. You're going to church every single Sunday or whatever your Sabbath day is.
Right.
You're doing all the things, right? And you go to the elder for advice, and they are in that antiquated thought.
Mm-hmm.
My next question would be is, do you have your own relationship
No, I don't.
with God?
I don't. I'm not talking about Stanley, but no, I don't.
Yeah. Well, I
I'm
mean, with God. So you are relying on another man to give you spiritual guidance, and you haven't studied for yourself.
Ding,
What
ding,
does the
ding.
book say? What
Say
does the
that
book
again.
say?
Say
All
that
the
again.
answers are in the book.
Yes, ma'am.
It's written in the book. And they have plain language, everyday, today language, whatever you want to call it, versions of the book. Okay. So you at least need to go and say, well, I read, or it is my understanding from the book that this is how this particular scenario could play out, or this is my understanding. Help me understand that, right? Because he is a man of the cloth, should be able to then break it down for you in that regard. And you guys come to a happy medium there. If not, then you just need to find a different leader. That's not the right leader. If your leaders aren't leading you down a path of what is, by the word and in the word, they're coming up with their own thing, it's not the right leader for you.
Outstanding. Now, we talk about that's not the right leader. And I'm asking these questions for a reason, not so much for me, but for a reason, right? So, I know you had all kind of counseling sessions and mentor sessions and all that stuff. I'm asking that for a reason, because a lot of people have bought into the hype of a church or a charismatic leader, but really have no substance behind what they're saying. So in essence, for me to become whole, I have to remove myself from that situation. But how do I do that? Because I don't even know.
So some very foundations. We all arrived here the same exact way. We all have ancestors. And so women, let's just start there. Women are the portals of life.
Yes.
Women are also born with all the eggs they're going to ever have, whether they're good or bad. And those eggs and the history of those eggs come from our mothers and their mothers.
Yes.
So if they're not good, they're meaning not viable for whatever reason, that's not necessarily something germane to you, the individual. That's something ancestral. On the other side, the men. There's a way in which the men, who are supposed to be the leaders and the protectors and the providers, have been trained, again, through ancestral lines.
Yes.
If you, for some reason, didn't get that foundation and you have had to figure that out, giving yourself grace, you're doing the best that you can, but when you know better, you do better, right? So when you find yourself in relationship, before you get to relationship though, how do we learn to love ourselves and appreciate ourselves?
Yes.
And I often do this very simple exercise, and I ask people, take off the mask. Take off all the titles, take off all the clothes, take off all the lipstick, the eyelashes, the whatever it is you put on. And for the guys, I don't know aesthetically, you can tell me what they do. But whatever that stuff is, take that all off. And when you're standing in your most vulnerable state,
yes,
then you get to the essence of who you are.
Uh-huh.
That's your core. And that's who Stanley is. That's who Tiffany is. That's who insert your name is, right? At the end of the day, we all want love and loving touch. Mm-hmm. If you've never experienced that, you don't have any idea, number one, what you're missing and how much more you have to give if you were in a relationship or in a position where you could experience that love, that type of unconditional love, where there's no expectation from the person.
No
expectation. Because we like to put, conditions on our stuff.
Yes.
I gave you $100 and so now you owe me. No, yeah. I gave it to you. You needed it or not. I gave it to you with no expectations of getting it back, no expectations of you doing anything in exchange for that money.
Yeah.
And we have to learn how to start doing, just giving of ourselves in that loving way, with stop setting boundaries and putting people in boxes.
Man, this is good. So you started digging into that, right? That former coach. But you also brought up our wonderful ladies. Now, there is something, I think there was a show that came on about something about egg hatching or something. I don't remember the title.
Did you say egg hatch? Stop it. Eggs over easy. Eggs over easy, sir.
Eggs over easy. All right.
Yes.
Already pick. I'm sorry. Anyway. So eggs over easy. And if I understand correctly, they started talking about women and how a lot of times people try to shame them in different things. Let's dig into that, because I also think you have to become whole to remove yourself from what other people are trying to pull you into, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So how does that all work? Talk to me, Tel.
So I loved that documentary brought to life because it's dealing with real life concerns and issues that a lot of women across the board are having, or they've been having for years, but it just seems to be, just like we're currently in a pandemic, it just seems to be of epic proportions of infertility. And the politically correct or the softer way to talk about infertility is fertility. And fertility concerns are not just that of women. That is often just put on the woman. It could be something from her partner, her male partner, I will say. Yes. That is the reason as to why they are not able to conceive. But me, as a womb care advocate and a womb wellness specialist, I like to let my women know that we are more, and I actually wrote a chapter in a book. That was one of the titles I didn't list. I am a international best-selling author. But my chapter was called More Than a Womb. And this is what I tell the women. We are more than this womb that we were born with.
Okay, pause right there, Tiff. Pause right there. That connects, right, with the dysfunction, in my opinion, because if I'm on this end, saying, have sex with as many women as you want, keep it moving. And then on the other end, ladies are being told basically like, you just a womb, just lay there or whatever. That's a challenge. So continue on. But I want to bring this up because this is helping somebody. Somebody blow your horn.
So physicality, right? The womb or uterus in the female, its only job is to house that baby.
Yes.
There is no other function for that thing. So some females are not born with a uterus. And for those of us that were born with a uterus, should we desire to have a baby, we birth children and nations, I like to call it, we birth nations from that womb space. But if for some reason, due to infertility, or any other medical reason, you are not able to birth a child from that space, you can still birth purpose, reason, dreams, whatever you want to call it, from that space, because we hold all of our emotions, good or bad, from that space. All of our anger, all of our joy is in that space. All of our traumas, physical and emotional traumas are held in that space. So I invite your audience to think of this. Women are receivers, men are givers, and you know what that looks like in the anatomical body. So when the male gives and we women receive, whether it's the one time or the two times or the multiple times, how many times does it take for us to receive the wrong seed?
That's good. Oh, that's good. Yes.
To mess up our space.
Yes.
Right? So I also tell people, the person you're in relationship now, if you're like, why is he so crazy? Or why does she act like that? That may not have anything to honestly do with the soul of that person. That's from the other soul that they were not supposed to be with.
Ding, ding, ding. Rewind, say that again. Ding, ding, ding. Where's my bell? Ding, say that again, Tim.
Yeah. So if you find yourself in with a crazy guy or the girl that just doesn't seem quite right, and I mentioned this in the chapter, it may not be the essence of who that person is that you're, in relationship with. Yeah. It's probably some lingering, unhealed traumas and stuff from an individual from their past that they should never have been entangled with at all.
That's real.
And good. Now it's showing up in your relationship.
Oh, I won't stay there. So bad. I think I got to ask another question about this. This good. This good. In that, right? So now, because a lot of people know that, I work on a plane of the spirit, not of religion. I'm going to say it this way, or ask it this way. Those spirits that are skeeted into the woman, into the womb of the woman, most people think in physical, but there's also a spiritual exchange that happens. A soul tie, as some people would call it. How now does that woman and or man break those soul ties that's not supposed to be there? Can you help the audience out with that?
I just like to keep it really simple when it comes to the soul ties. That for me, so I personally have a real issue when I hear of people getting out of long-term relationships or marriages for that reason. And 6 months later, they're already coupled up or even talking about marriage. That's just me personally. There needs to be space, clear detachment. And I know I'm just for the people that's going to say, well, we was married for 20, but we was not married for 5 of those 20.
Right.
But did you still live in the same house? Did you still cohabitate in some way? Did you every now and then tiptoe over there to them? So you're still tied to the individual. So when you finally break the relationship apart, dissolve, it is over. Take some time, however long that is. I think 6 months is too soon, especially if you were in a long-term relationship. You cannot undo that in 6 months. And so people need time to heal and get to know yourself in that time of healing, right? Because the person you were, let's say it was 7, 10, 20 years ago, you're not that individual now. And so your needs are different. Your desires are different. And you need to know now, who really am I? And what is it that I need moving forward? And you can't do that in 6 months.
Yeah, it's my just bringing stories upon stories. It's so many soul ties that people are trying to fight forward, and they're not understanding that, listen, this is not here. This is over here, right?
Yeah.
So now we got all of this going on before we even get to the altar. All of this going on before we get to the altar. Now I want to add something in that conversation, body shaming. You know, as I like to say, because this is, I'm gonna make sure I put this as explicit, but people are telling men that your penis not big enough. If a male gets raped, then it's like, oh, so you're a punk, or you a fag, or you a this. You know, it's belittling and bringing them down. That's on the male and female side, right?
Yeah.
And then again, now you got all of this shame coming in, like it was your fault.
But not even so much just that, right? You may find yourself in relationship, women may find themselves in relationship with a man that maybe has erectile dysfunction. So for some reason, he's unable to sexually perform, whether that's physical or it's emotional, and then of course tied to the physical. And so if he's not in right relationship with the right woman that is patient and can be understanding and open to working through the process, she can do severe damage to his male ego, to his the body shaming, like you're calling it, over something that he may not even be able to physically or emotionally control at the time. And so it may be as simple as some medication. It may be something psychological as to the reason why his body is not functioning. On the other side, if you want to say body shaming men to women, it's, well, why can't you get pregnant? What's wrong with your body?
Yeah.
This is something that you should be able to do. All women can do that. Or you're too fat or whatever it is. That serves no purpose and really does not do anything to get the things moving forward in a positive way. So I think if we as individuals are able, because we don't like to do this either, we don't like to own our own stuff. It is always the other person's fault if it's not working out.
Yeah, it's always, and I realized when as I grew up and the things that I did, I literally, oh man, it probably was about a 7-year, as I like to say, autopsy on my life. I'm talking about all the way back to what are these triggers that created this anger inside of me about this or that. And it probably took me, I would probably say, Tiffany, 7 years, right? I mean, to really do the real work. I ain't talking about ask Dr. Taft. Yes, I am now. And when I went all the way back and found those triggers, my mentor, Dr. Sam Oram, we talk about this a lot, but we're talking about, anchoring certain things in, right? But you can't anchor in negativity. If you are trying to help me heal, but I'm still holding on, whether it's pride or whatever else, to something way back in the day, and I don't want to tell you, Tiffany, I got raped when I was 6. You can't help me. Nor can we dig out the actual negativity of that and then positively anchor something inside of us so we don't have those negative things going on. So as you're saying, to become whole, right? Male or female, we talk about the body shaming stuff, we talk about this, we talk about that, and then we have this good one, just this real good one, Tiff, the cultural norms. You're too light, you're too dark, you're too this, you're too that. So how do we work with that with the men and the women? How do we get to that? Because I'm too dark for this, or I'm too light for this. So how do we work on that?
So I think the cultural norms, and I think I mentioned, as we were preparing for this discussion, I had taken several classes over, during the pandemic. And what I noticed, and probably because they were virtual, is that my classes were filled with people women mostly from all over the world. Good. But at the very core, like I said, we all have the same basic needs. We want to be loved. We want to be loved unconditionally. We want to know that somebody is truly listening. We want to know that somebody really sees us and not the stuff or the form of what they can do for us or what we can do for them, right? And so women, when we talk about this womb health piece, all over the world, there are places in the world where women are not even considered human beings or of same class. They have to dress a certain way. The way they engage in society is very different, and they're not able to be vocal and really have a say. And so some of us take for granted the freedoms, the simple, basic freedoms that we're all born with, for granted, because others don't have them. They don't know that type of peace and wholeness. And so when I talk about we talk about being whole, what does that mean? That is looking for ways where, like I said, we can be our true, authentic, bare selves with the people in our sacred circles, or just show up. How do you show up in society and really be your true, authentic self? Unapologetic about who you are and why you are the way you are. But let me be clear, that does not mean to just say and do any old kind of thing and be disrespectful to people and say, oh, that's who I am. No, that's not. I don't think people are born mean and evil and disrespectful. Those are learned behaviors, right? And so when we want to be whole, come from a place of how you desire to be treated and seen and recognized. And then other people we are a mirror image of each other. I can't help, why would I come off and attack you right now if you're giving me that energy, that's the same energy I'm going to come back with you. But if you're peaceful, I have no reason to lash out at you and just start attacking you. And so I think some of us, we're always in that fight or flight mode, like just our guard is up and we're protected, and it might be something that we saw others having to do, or somehow you learned that, because that's not who we are.
Yeah. One of the things on the police department that a lot of people don't take into consideration, I think every police officer that's been, of course, I ain't talking to somebody that's been on the police department for, 6 weeks and then say, all right, you know what, I'm out. But spent a significant amount of time on the police department. They have PTSD. And that's, I mean, I'm not a scientific person. I can't prove that, none of that stuff or whatever. I'm not trying to do that. That's not my point. But my point is, because collectively we've seen so much. So as an example, me being on the police department in New Orleans, I think 7-8 years, I haven't forgotten now, right? And during the time we were the murder capital of the world. So I can give you stories for days about murders, about kidnappings. And I mean, I can go on and on and on, right? Yeah. It's not about that, but that same thing. Because remember, audience, we're talking about how to become whole. And now if I go home and I have all of this baggage that we talked about from the past, about I'm gonna sleep with 55 women. On the other side, the wife or the girlfriend have these types of traumas and issues. Now you have a volatile situation, just waiting for the right trigger, right? And I think a lot of people don't realize, because this is one of the things, I'll just speak for myself. I never thought anytime at any moment about going to a counselor, about going to, anybody else, just like, no, I'm good. I'm the boy. I'm good. I'm good. And then realize I have issues, right? If you just saw somebody head knocked off, their guts hanging out, and then you come home and,
it's a lot.
My girlfriend say, Stanley, take the garbage out. And then you snap. Well, you're not technically snapping at her.
Right.
But you don't know how to deal with these situations. So in all of that, now I'm talking about the careers. For all of y'all taking notes, we're talking about the careers now. For all those people, whether it's the police department, whether it's a nurse, whether it's an ICU person, whether it's somebody in the ER, whether it's a doctor, a surgeon, you know,
military.
One of the biggest ones, Tiff, as you know, is dealing with a child. Any child. You want to break a police officer? Let them go to a scene that has something to deal with a young child. It's a difficult situation, right? So now, how do we now take all of that and begin to work with that, Tiff, on the career side?
I think, you know, workplaces have to do a better job at providing resources, but also providing wellness options, if you will. So there are checkpoints along the way, whether it's continuing education or awareness type, you know, courses, the what if scenarios that you don't wait until, you know, so the life of a cop is pretty much like any other first responder, right? You face a different story every day. You never know what you're going to walk into. But it could be the same thing for the postal person or the corporate CEO sitting up in a corner office, you know, with a great view. He's stressed out because of the millions of dollars or assets and stuff, and the people, maybe that level of responsibility. Whereas, you know, the first responder it's literally a life or death situation. And so everybody processes this information differently. So the workplace has to do better about incorporating programs on some level that addresses the whole being, and especially in those, you know, high stress jobs like you mentioned with law enforcement and first responders, the military, and whoever, you know, similar type things. It cannot be addressing the situation as it come up, because then more often than not, it's too late. And why is it too late? So the law enforcement person that is, you know, seeing all of this devastation daily in various forms, you know, maybe over 6 months, they're cool. But on that 6 months and one day for that child situation you're talking about, that's it. That's all. I'm done. And what do? They completely lose it. But yet they're unprepared. Why are they unprepared? They don't know if the police force even has resources in place. They don't know the questions to ask. They don't have the coping mechanisms in place to deal with it. And because they probably weren't trained like that anyway in police academy, because what do they tell you? What is the thing that they say to you in police academy? Everybody must come home every day. But on the flip side of that is what? Who's surviving?
Yeah, street survival. It's straight street survival. Here's the thing on top of that, Tiff. There's a saying. Now, it may not be that now, but people would say, I would rather be tried by 12 than carried by 6.
Yes.
So if it's a situation, I'm going home. Yeah. And I'm going to win my case if it's a situation, right?
Yeah. I think people too have to have an awareness that we all weren't brought up the same. We have different dynamics and situations beyond the cultural norms and biases that come, right? So we cannot look at the skin or look at a certain nationality or whatever and say, you know, they will react or we expect them to do something in a certain way. You cannot do that anymore. And should not have been doing that anyway. We should be looking at people and individuals. But it becomes difficult when we find ourselves in situations where we are just all trying to survive. Nobody is looking to thrive. We're just trying to survive. We're just trying to make it to the next minute, to the next hour, to the next day.
That's right.
And so how do we get to a point where we're thriving? How do we open up? how do we be vulnerable and have these conversations with people? And I'm not saying tell everybody, everybody, all the business, but you should have somebody that you can open up to, because people need to talk. You can't keep this stuff in and expect it not to affect you.
Got to process it.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that I would share with some of the people that I'm fortunate enough to coach and mentor and those things, have at least one person that can carry your weight.
Yes.
And
yes.
People would ask me a question, what do you mean carry your weight? Like you only weigh just, no. You're talking about physical, because people come with different layers, different opportunities, different realms, dimensions, all of these different things. Can you handle their very, I should say, their most vulnerable self, the complete nakedness of this individual? Can handle that?
And most people can't, nor do they care to. Why? Because we're not even listening. Because as the other person is talking, we're already formulating a response or a decision. I don't need you to solve everything for me. Sometimes I just need to get it out.
That's right.
And I'm good. But we don't do that very well as individuals. We're always trying to figure it out and solve something.
Always. So Tiff, look, you know you're coming back.
I would love to come back.
Listen, I want, well, one, share with them how our family can get in touch with you, right? How can they get in touch with you if they want to book your services, want to sit down and really get further into stuff that we can't say on the air, but how can they get at you for your services, or just, converse with you?
Awesome. So they can reach me via my website at www.sacredsoulwellness, that's SACRED, soul, SOUL, wellness.org. You can find me on Instagram at Sacred Soul Wellness, and then on Facebook at Dr. Dr. Tiffany Taft, and the number 1.
All right. Give me your email again. Give me your stuff. Because the reason I'm saying that, I hear something in my head that there are some people listening to this podcast that's, one, they have pride. Number 2, they're embarrassed to talk about. One thing I'm hearing is erectile dysfunction. And the other thing I'm hearing is ashamed of their past.
Yeah.
So this is a male, I'm talking about men right now, for whatever reason. So please give them your information again, please.
Yeah. So my email is info at sacredsoulwellness.org. And the webpage is www.sacredsoulwellness.org. And you can follow me on Instagram at Sacred Soul Wellness, or on Facebook at Dr. Tiffany Taft and the number 1. And I would like to say, if you're emailing for consultation, you don't have to put it all in the email. Just say, you heard me on the show and I'd like to, discuss further. Maybe it's a holistic health consultation. And we can talk about an awakening to yourself and what that looks like for your journey, because everybody's path is different. And I also like to say, even though my client base has been mostly women, I do have a male client, and I am so excited when the men come in for service and they open up about the stuff that they're dealing with. And there are some things, honestly, as a woman, I'm not going to be able to help them with, but there are some foundational things. It doesn't matter who you are. We as human beings have needs. We have questions and we have pathways that we all are here to serve. And so you got to remove the stuff, remove the baggage that's holding you back, because somebody is waiting for you to show up so that they can move forward in their journey as well.
Absolutely. Listen, there's two things before we get out of here. You know,
Mhm.
you got to give me my New Orleans holler, right? You know,
How
I know
do
you
I
all.
do that?
I know you all laid back and PhD'd up, and you got three, four, five of them, and everything else. But listen,
Hmm.
just for a moment, we're gonna
Mhm.
break with the seriousness, but just for a moment, holla at my people in New Orleans. I'm gonna say it first, and you
Okay.
gotta come behind your boy. All right? You
Okay.
got it?
I'm ready.
Wow.
Wow. Is that it? I love it. And I've only been to New Orleans twice in my life, but both times was amazing.
Listen, shout out to my people in every ward that represent. Shout out to all of you guys. Listen, Tiffany, go ahead
Yes.
and what's some powerful advice that you would leave for the family?
Yeah.
I got something unusual today, but for me as well. But what's some powerful advice that you would leave for the family?
Yeah.
Those people in Belgium, those people in Germany, those people in China, those people in South America, South Africa, Brazil,
Mm-hmm.
Belize. But to talk to them.
Um, so again, at the very foundation, know that you as a human being were born with purpose. You have meaning, you have voice. And I want to read something just real quick.
Yes.
And I want it to sit with each person. Mm-hmm. We are in a place where some people need to step back and make some different decisions. Yes. Some people may be heavy from the decisions they have to make, but know when you're able to sit still, maybe you journal it, maybe you write it down, ink to paper, write it down, burn it and release it. Whatever your thing is, it's time to let those things go. If you're restless and unable to sleep, if you are in physical pain and don't know why, some of that physical pain might be the stuff that you're holding in your head, the emotion, right? Our bodies have memory. So the first way I'm going to read it is in Spanish. So if you are from any of those countries and my Spanish don't come quite across, my apologies, but I will say it in English after. Okay? Tierra mi cuerpo, agua mi sangre, viento mi aire, fuego mi espíritu. What am I saying? The earth is my body. Water is my blood. Wind is my breath. And fire is my spirit. You must find in each of those elements the essence of who you are and live that in purpose every single day. It is important how you show up. You matter. Your voice matters.
Man, girl, I'm about to send you an offering or something. You breaking this thing down like this. Listen, family, do me a favor. Take our email down. All right. It's let's talk with stanleyd@gmail.com. LETSTALKWITHSTANLEY as in David @gmail.com. Why am I giving you my email again? There's two things that have happened tonight. Dr. Taft has broken some things up in your internal being, in your internal spirit, has awakened your soul. If you don't remember her email me. I will get you to her. This is important. I'm speaking to people that's on the verge of losing everything in their mind. I'm talking to people that literally don't know what is the next step. I'm talking to people that really just in a state of blah. It's time for you to come alive. We have the help. We can get you to the right people. We don't want anything from you but to assist you, elevate you, and help you live and be the best of who you are. That's what we want. To those men that I was referring to earlier, get in touch so we can get you to Dr. Taft. This is important. Do not commit suicide saying you don't have any help. We are here. Do not run from us. We are here to help. Let me give you my email again. LETSTALKWITHSTANLEY as in David @gmail.com. You don't even have to give me your name. I just want to get you to Dr. Taft or whomever it may be for us to help you continue to move forward. That includes ladies, that includes gentlemen. Wherever you are in the world, we just want to help you elevate. I have a saying, ladies and gentlemen, some people have heard me saying. My saying is simple. How many people blessings are attached to you? If you fail, then how many people behind you fail? You're not a failure. I don't care what those other people say. You're not a failure. We are talking about becoming whole, and this is the starting point for you. Tiffany Taft, my girl, my sister, way back from whenever. I ain't telling people how long we've been knowing each other. That's not their business. But thank you. You got to come back, grace us again with your Espanol. Which one next time? Mandarin? Who knows?
I might.
See what I'm saying? Who knows? So listen, Tiffany, thank you so much. To the family, we're about to take it to the street. Listen, go to my website, let's talk with StanleyDoucette.com. Subscribe, like, share, post, do whatever you have to do. Let's get it out because we want to make sure we continue to do these and make them hot. With that being said, I love you guys. We're about to roll on back to these streets. But listen, do me a favor. If you know somebody that's not in their right space, send them to us so I can get them to Dr. Taft, and we're going to help them become whole. With that being said, let's get on out of here. We love you, Tiff. God bless. Let's take it to the street. Let's go.